Hello there, everybody. This is Tenacious Earl with a final wrap-up video for the combination, for the 2018 Hawaiian Challenge. I am recording this unlisted, excuse me. I wanted to just do this without a lot of questions coming during my recording, so I figured I would just go ahead and do this in this fashion. So this was the first time I recorded the History Maker Golf tournament mode in this tour live. I'm gonna. There's a good chance I'm gonna go to. If I do record them like on a live stream, I will probably do it unlisted and sort of do a layered release after the fact, because I feel like a couple things. One is that I think I try to interact with people while I'm doing it, and with this project I feel like I really need concentration on the game in order for it to be played. That is, if I even do full rounds. I'm still trying to decide that. I mean, I think it's a mix. I do think there are some people watching it, and I'm going to keep doing this until I get the sense that it's something that isn't generating much interest as far as like the three sort of parts of the final round and stuff. One thing I would say is that I feel like if I were to do these sort of recorded, quote-unquote offline, and then release them after the fact, then I can kind of play these things. Part of the problem is trying to keep everything fresh in my memory. I don't want to mess up and miss something. And the nice thing about doing them in succession is that then I can wrap it all up, put the cards away, and then I don't have anything missing from my memory after the fact, because I would hate to kind of like come back here and realize that something just isn't quite ringing a bell. I feel like if you're in the moment, it makes it a little better. So this, I thought, was a really nice tournament. I feel like through the middle holes it may have gotten a little stale. Gil Granbury kind of got out to a bit of a lead there, but then what I'm learning is I don't think you can play it safe with any golfer, because all it takes is a couple of unlucky rolls, regardless of whether it's from the course control or golfer control, from a hole. It can zap you. So, and that's basically real life, which is a testament to, I think, the engine that Keith and the play people have put together. Is that now, granted, I think part of what someone could say is, okay, well, how realistic is it? These guys, I like this fictional set because I don't have any preconceptions. I do have preconceptions based on those tournament ratings. So, like, Dustin Emmerich is a 1A. Probably going to be a little bit biased to maybe, I don't know if I say biased. I'm not going to be biased against any of these guys. But, if I had Tiger Woods there, I have the fact that I don't usually root for Tiger Woods in my mind. Whereas there's some other golfers that I might be more inclined to root for, that I might, I don't want to say I would be biased, but you just never know. So, real quick here, I'm going to turn this around and let's do a couple things. And let me adjust the camera here, because obviously the camera isn't quite right. So here on the score sheet, what you do is that you can put your final leaderboard, and that's what I will show you right here. Let me get rid of the extra paper that helps me to write neatly. So this is your final leaderboard. You'll notice a couple names that we did not see before. Rance Aberley and Heath Sommers. So as you can see, Kawahara and Granbury tied with the 271, but Kawahara wins in the second hole of the playoff with a birdie. And then you have David Alvestad and Myung Cho at 272, tied for third. Fifth place, Gareth Leonard. Sixth, John Reisner, 273 and 274, respectively. And then seventh, you have Jaegun Woo, Delmo Mazzanti, and then Rance Aberley at 275. Rance was that guy at a B+, who was a potential emerging contender, but he ended up not emerging. But he was still within 4 of the lead at the end, based on the full leaderboard method for the scoring key. And I will just flash that on the screen here in just a moment. Heath Sommers at 276, along with Shinji Konishi, as we remember seeing him. Sommers, we didn't see again the same mechanism, and again, I'll show you that in a second. Yun Lee Song at 277. I'll show you a bit more of the leaderboard here in a second on my actual sheet. This is the full leaderboard method. I'm hoping it's not a big deal to show you this on the video, but so what you would do is, again, you take your historical winning score, which we had 268 as the target, and then you take 273 plus the tournament rate. So Aberley was a 2A, so he got a 275. And let's see, Sommers might have been a 1, and he might have been a B- and got a 276 because he was, I forget. But in any regard, that's how those were developed. I actually developed those before I played out a lot of this tournament, so or the final round. So okay, I'm needing to do a little bit of twisting and turning here, so bear with me. Whoa, and I just about lost the phone out of the jack here, which, excuse my forefinger. Okay, so again, here is your final leaderboard here for the Hawaiian Challenge. As you can see, Kawahara. So you might ask yourself, or you might ask me, why or how did you make it show up that Kawahara was 1 and Granbury 2? Well, that's a little trick of doing some spreadsheet stuff, which is you put a decimal. And actually, I am going to, let me see, can I actually update that here now? I don't think it'll let me. But what I need to do, when I did it, I actually put a 271.1. I really need to put that like 0.000001. So that way when we do our scoring averages, it doesn't get affected. If you're familiar with significant figures and stuff, a 0.1 is a little close. I mean, I think in this case it's probably not going to be of big effect, but you know, just to not chance it, at least should at least put maybe a couple more zeros leading that 1. So put it in maybe the 1,000th to the 10,000th place. So as you can see, Alvestad, Cho, Leonard, Reisner, Mazzanti, Wu, Aberley, Sommers, Konishi, Lee Song. Then you've got a bunch of other guys. As you can see, Kieran is in here. He was on the, as well as Rodell. They were on the final pairings, but they kind of dropped out of there early. Again, Wu, they're tied for 7th. Actually got the benefit for some reason of a lot of good rolls on the out of contention golfer quick play method. People who are wondering about any golfers, there is Emmerich, who is a guy who may show up a bit. I already mentioned what his rating was. Let me get rid of this. This is messages. I hate having those things sitting there. If you remember Toshio Takai, he finishes at -12. That's 10 shots back. Gets a cool 54 grand for his efforts. I guess I should mention the winnings. Kawahara gets 1.08 million as his Winner share Granbury 648,000, and then 348 split between Alvestat and Cho. Some people like Ziggy Juno. He finished at 288. He did make the cut, so he'll get 11, almost 12 grand there. But in the end, he wasn't a factor. Also, I did this via. I took the guys that made the cut but ended up being in the other groupings. Well, actually, no, that was for the cut. I was going to make so I used that, if you can see here. I've got it really zoomed in. Let me zoom it out here. This is what I did here for the others. You use, let me see, do I still have that? I think I threw away the other sheet, but you just take the tournament rating plus their the guide for each particular letter designation. So that's how we got Ziggy Juno. He's a 5 rated guy, and he was probably in the D range, so that got him to a 288 along with Buddy Carawan. So, and the winner of tournament number 1 was let's see, who was it? That was Trenchard. He did make the cut here somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, he's right here. He's tied for 38th. Let me zoom it out a little bit. 26,000, and we'll get to the overall soon. Who was I? Oh, you were. There was a question about Kawahara's first tournament, and he missed the cut there. So, what happened here? Okay, there we go. Okay, so now let's go to the tour main page. This is another spreadsheet which has our first off has the tour schedule. You can see next, well, I've already updated that with Kawahara as the winner. So the next will be at Torrey Pines, well, Pacific Pines, I guess is the name of it. South course for the San Diego Open, and then after that we will head up the coast to the Monterey Peninsula Pacific Golf Links for the I'm going to make that the NorCal Pro-Am when I have a chance to make that adjustment. So that's, and then I'm awaiting the 10th course pack, which will give me Sunset Canyon and Rattlesnake, so we could round things out before we hit the Masterful tournament. So current money leaders, if you are interested, we have Adam Trenchard, who won the first tournament because he made the cut. Here, I guess I need to shift this down some. What I can do is zoom this more and do that. Let's see. I don't know. So it's Trenchard in the first position with 1.106, and then Kawahara with 1.08. So Trenchard obviously the purses were the same, so he ended up with about 20 some odd thousand in this tournament. I think is what it was, 26,000. Granbury, who finished second, he is third in the money. Takai, who is a non-member of the tour, is in fourth with 582,800. So he's made a nice little nest egg for himself so far. I'll also mention with Juno, he's also not in too bad a shape at this point. 48th, he's 53,000. I mention him mostly because there are some interested observers of his. I'm somewhat somewhat. I don't know if he's going to make much noise, but we'll see. You never know. We've got a point leader, and it's not much different than... It'll get a little different once we hit some majors and the point totals. You know, the point pots go up a bit as we get a little further along. We get to important tournaments. So you can see pretty much the same leaderboard here as far as the Tenacious Cup points. And this will go into the playoffs, into figuring out who goes to the playoffs. So... scoring leaders, again, not a whole lot, but Granbury actually is at the top here with a 68.01 scoring average. We can figure that out based on the scores that are generated. Obviously, if you finish... so I have algorithms in my calculations on the each. So each tournament has its own Google sheet, spreadsheet. If the score is under 200, then it means that it was a 2-round total and the player missed the cut. And if and so every other one that has a score ends up being a 4-round stroke total, and so that way we can figure out how many rounds have been played, and we have the total strokes, and you do the math, or the sheet does the math, and we get scoring averages. So we'll keep track of these things as we go along. Maybe in the next version of the tour I'll try to be a little more diligent as far as tracking things like putts, but it's the only thing about that is you only get the final round. So when you're talking about that, you're not really getting a whole tournament's worth of statistics. So that may have to go by the wayside. But let's see. What else? Is there anything else here? I believe that is it for this. So, well, you know what? Let's go back to the schedule here. So, the next tournament we've got... Well, I said no cut for that. I need to change that because I did use a cut. I figured since we weren't doing the completely invitational, that we would put a cut, because 125 just seemed like, or 126 in this case, Takai. Because we used him in this tournament, he didn't finish in the top 10. He will not be exempt for the next tournament, so he will have to qualify. As you can see, we've got 156 person field, whatever you want to call it, for the San Diego Open. So there'll be some room for some qualifiers that should start to see a couple more guys into the mix, and we'll see how that works out. Trying to think if there are any other thoughts. I do eventually here want to start introducing some of my own designed players. Just in that you have, what do I say? You know, we're gonna reach a certain point where I feel like we're gonna need a few extra players just to try and liven it up. And so, yeah, that's about it, I think. So I think that's a good place to cut this short. Leave any questions, as I said, about these tournaments and the tour itself. It's you know, I feel like it's a lot of fun. I mean, it may not be. I don't know if it's the best for viewing. I think it's at least has the opportunity to be. There may be points where I decide to... actually, one thing I might do is, in the coming weeks, do 18-hole qualifiers and let all the non-qualifiers try to make entry into the next tournament. We'll see. It might take too long to do that, but it seemed like that could be fun. I wouldn't broadcast that probably if I do. Otherwise, I'll just figure out some kind of a method to get guys to qualify. And is there anything else I wanted to mention? Seems like there was. Well, I mean, I'll be back with some fillies at some point in the next day or two. I do need to update their statistics and such, but like I guess what I was saying was that I think it's pretty good. I think one of the things I might do in some of these tournaments as well is just broadcast the final 6 holes for the lead group, and then all the other groups, you know, start them at like 15 or 16 or whatever it is. So we'll see. Maybe start it from the point when we do the emerging contenders. But the other thing I like about it is that if you watch the videos leading into that third video for the final round, you might get to know some of the golfers a little bit and see how they're going. And I keep getting more and more acclimated to, you know, what helps and what hurts. So as far as the strategy goes with the blue chips and such, so and the red chips, and maybe in a future tour generation we will look at maybe using strategy cards. I just think it might get a little intense with that too, trying to decide when to use them and when not to use them. So if you have questions, leave a comment. Again, play.com, PLAAY.com, if you are interested in this game. Not really intentionally trying to plug it so much as just offering you a place to buy it. I would imagine that the other golf games that have been and are going to be played out here on either this channel or other channels are worthy as well. But I have this one, and it created a good tournament here. The first one was a slightly anticlimactic. This one had some drama at the end, and yeah. All right, thanks a lot. Like the video if you think it's worthy of being liked with the thumbs up. It helps get the word out. And we thank you for subscribing to not only the channel, but if you're part of the Patreon, thanks a lot. We really appreciate everybody who is supporting us. And just look forward to some more baseball here coming up. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, and enjoy your tabletop sports. God bless.